Cool. Now, I can't forget to do shout outs.
Yeah.
All right. This episode 4.
Episode 4.
Hey.
Getting episode in.
Yeah. All right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of Books with Bros. My name's Khalil. It's my brother Hunter. Let's get into it. Now, this is our guest episode 4, Howling Dark.
Howling Dark.
We're going into the second book in the Sun Eater series. We've already one was Empire Silence, so we're going ahead and review the second book in the Sun Eater series. I'll do a real quick reminder of what this is. This is second book out of 6 current books, with the 7th book releasing later this year. Howling Dark, sci-fi, fantasy, space opera that's set in the distant future where mankind has learned to travel through space. It follows our main character, Hadrian Marlowe, still, who, again, is remembered as a hero and a monster who destroyed the sun and killed 4 billion humans and burned every alien from the sky. Now, as I mentioned, this story is told from his perspective as his own memoir. He is writing to let us know he isn't a hero or a monster, and how he had to fight a war he never started. Now, for an empire he doesn't love as well, against an enemy he'll never understand. Now, this book, Hadrian is on a mission to try to negotiate peace with the alien race. They're called the Cielcin, and he's that's his main mission. And throughout this book, he is trying to bring peace, stop this war. He does not want this war, and he thinks that he can stop it or negotiate peace. And he finds himself throughout this book or not even navigating through the complexities of this the alien culture and his own people's expectations. Now, quick synopsis. Not even I don't even know if that was quick, but there's the synopsis. I guess I'll go ahead and ask. This is the second book. You already kind of had high expectations, but what were your expectations before reading this book?
Higher than the first one, definitely. This
Yep.
was where I was told this is where it starts. First one's you chalk the first one up to world building. You know what I'm saying? You just chalk that one up to be like, okay, cool. You're getting to know the world, the characters, everything. This is where my expectations went up. Like, okay, you don't
Yep.
get 2 world building books, dude. You better come with some shit. That was definitely higher than the first.
Okay.
Pretty high. What about you?
Right at this point as I was reading it, right where you're at, or right how you felt. I read the first one and I was like, okay, cool. I was interested enough in it. I don't want to say that. I enjoyed the first book. I enjoyed this book. My expectations were, okay, let's jump right back into it, because still I was unsure what was going on after reading the first book. So I'm
Yeah.
looking for more clarification and to really figure out why this is
What the hell's
considered
going
one
on?
of yeah yeah.
Yeah.
So higher, like you said, higher than the first, especially because I know the characters now. I know this world now, so I was ready to get in more into it for sure. Um, if I had to say it met my expectations, I would say yes and no. I would say no as far as it, for me, it took very long to understand
Mm-hmm.
what was happening. And this was almost like a part 2 of a first book.
Yeah, the first like 3/4 of the book.
Yeah, like a lot. The majority of this book, it's still, I wouldn't say world building because we know the world, but we're
No.
still not sure. Like, he's still Hadrian, because this is his memoir. He's still figuring stuff out. He's
Yeah.
still not sure what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He still doesn't understand anything. So we don't understand anything as the readers, because
Right.
he's telling it from like his perspective
In real time.
in real. So like, he doesn't know what's going on, and throughout this book, I didn't know what was going
Right.
on. As far as me, again, yes and no. It met my expectations. Yes, because they weren't very high anyway. I still got the same level of book I got before, if not better. I enjoyed the second book was better than the first book without a doubt.
I agree.
So I'm happy with that. The book, definitely, I got some surprises in this book. Not towards the end, but I got some surprises. How
Mm-hmm.
about you?
Yeah, man. It furthered, like you said, it's not a world building book, but it did further that. Christopher is fantastic at that world building and just being very, very descriptive of this certain stuff. Basically, most of this book, or at least the second half, you're on Vorgossos
Yep.
and where Cigar is. And the way Vorgossos is and like his palace and everything was set up and the gardens and like all that, he's super descriptive that you can almost kind of see, you know what I
Yep.
mean, or and visualize very well of the setting of the book. More dope writing from Hadrian Marlowe.
Yep.
You know
For
what I
sure.
mean?
Hadrian's a good writer.
Hadrian's a good writer. So, right, we're giving Christopher Hadrian's the writer. He's going to sit there wherever he is writing his
It's his
memoir.
memoir.
Yeah. But this book felt way more like an epic than the first because I agree, the first three-fourths of this book was um, more like the first one. But
Yep.
that last quarter of the book, it all came together for almost like the first two books,
Yep.
and not like the first ending. This kind of wrapped that like chapter up and gave you like a good few. It gave you like, okay, I can't like you
Okay,
can't
this
wait
is
until
now we're getting into it, and now like I'm about
exactly
to read the one, or what
right.
like now we're getting into Hadrian's story, the legend
Yep,
of Hadrian Marlowe, because
yep.
as of right now, I don't understand. I like throughout the majority of the first, or all of the first, majority of the second book, how is he this legend guy? Like,
Right.
what have you done,
What's
dog?
he? Yep.
You
Facts. What have
haven't
you
done
done?
nothing.
I
So
will say the ending, the last thing, it wasn't as turnt, but I call it an epic because the lead up to it, there was a big crescendo at the end of the book where you're like, oh shit,
almost like a cliffhanger. Almost.
almost
It's not
like
so like leaving you hanging by any means,
no,
but like it's so that big twist or whatever kind of, and it leaves you with that. It's just like, what?
right. Let me open this third one.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, without going into the spoilers, we already talked about it in the first episode how well I like or how much I like Christopher's writing. Um, I really enjoy it because again, majority of this book is very similar to the first one, and it's so captivating. I don't know. It's just like
Yeah,
I'm still, even if it is kind of a slower burn throughout it, and I've been still so interested in what's going on, and
at the moment.
yeah, like literally, I'm just living each moment with as Hadrian did,
Right.
and I can visualize just about everything. I feel like when Hadrian is shocked from something or something happens to with Hadrian in his life, it's just like I'm feeling that with him because I feel like I guess it's all told from his perspective. So I'm Hadrian,
Right.
you know.
They right. Right. I'm Adrian. What do you have any do you have any things you don't like about this book, or just
Yeah, I
basically
still
about the
don't have so I won't like it wouldn't be a spoiler, but somebody throughout in this book in Hadrian, like one of Hadrian's friends dies, and it didn't affect me because like I didn't care that much about the person.
you're right. Someone did
Um,
die. Yeah.
exactly, someone
Yeah.
did die,
Yeah. I was already
and
thinking like they did, but yeah,
and Hadrian was crushed.
he was
And
crushed.
typically, I don't like that. I like when my main character's crushed, the person
I'm
mess with
crushed.
so much, I'm crushed with them. But like,
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't even. He
That's a good
died, and it
point.
was like that's
Okay.
sad. But like,
That
let's move
yeah.
on. Let's
Wasn't
go.
crushed at all.
What's next?
Yeah.
Because I need to like this. It didn't. So what? I guess my biggest gripe with these first two books is, or it's so focused on Hadrian that like you don't get a chance. I mean, there is another person who gets a lot of shine in this book, especially towards the second half, which I do appreciate because it's all Hadrian throughout the first book and most majority of this book. That to where if something were to happen to anybody, you
You
don't
wouldn't
care
care.
enough.
Yeah.
You don't care enough.
I
They don't.
agree. You're not that
So
invested in anybody else.
you
And
know,
you're not even that invested into Hadrian himself. Like you are, but you're not. You don't feel how you just said you are Hadrian. Yeah, but you don't feel how Hadrian feels.
you know,
Um, and yeah, that's not great. As much as I like his writing, I do think that sometimes it's a little too complex. Um, and I'm not to say that to where it's like not able to read or I don't understand what's
Right.
going on, but sometimes you have to like, not sometimes, when you're reading this book, you have to be focused.
You
Like,
do have to be focused. You got to be
you know what I mean?
locked in.
Locked in to where it's hard to do a casual read because every time you read, you're reading. So it's not like
For
watching a
sure,
show
you're locked.
where,
Yeah, you're locked in regardless because you got to
right.
read. But
Yeah,
like,
but
you really have like. There's times where I'm rereading stuff, and we're already
right.
getting another language and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
yeah,
So that's one thing where it's not a gripe. It's not even necessarily a bad thing. It's just something I've kind of noticed. Because in the same breath, that also makes him a great writer.
yep.
Um,
Hard to create a language and a
but
different, well, like, yeah.
yeah, and back to Hadrian. Hadrian drives me crazy. Like,
He's a
there's
hard.
time.
He's almost a hard MC to love.
Yeah,
The
yeah. At least so far.
yeah,
First two books, I don't love Hadrian. That's the thing.
yep.
Like towards the end of this book, I'm like, okay, okay. There was a moment where I'm like, all right, then Hadrian.
But just like the first book, it's like okay, Hadrian, but then he go back to being Hadrian again.
Yeah, yeah. And with a name like hard as fuck, like Hadrian, you should be a beast.
Yeah, I.
So we'll
Uh,
see. We'll see what this future has. I mean, this series has in
yeah,
its future.
I see what you mean by that for sure.
Because we do
Um,
know that the third and fourth books are the ones that
they're high rated.
they're the highest rated of the
Yeah, they're
series.
high. They're high rated, and what I've understood as I've read it is that I mean, again, how I guess I mentioned earlier, we're learning everything as a Hadrian does, and
Right.
even at the not so exciting points, it's just what's happening in his life. Not
Yeah.
it, sometimes he has to bore us, I guess, because of how important it is in the story. He has to bore us with the boring parts,
That's
and it's
true.
not all boring, but there are boring parts in his life. His life's not all exciting,
Nope.
at least not as of right now in the story. Um, it's still for me the biggest thing has always been that he's a legend, and it's just like, and he's telling it from his legend perspective, or not his legend perspective, but like he's writing it as the legend he is, and it's just like, man, when does that happen?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like I just taking everything as it happens, and I guess that's part of a
A
legend
memoir.
story. I
Yeah.
mean, it's part of the story of any legend is
Right.
you know
The beginning.
the beginning.
Yeah.
So um, so it's okay with me, or at that point in the book, it's been okay with me, and the ending for me was rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Um,
Yeah.
the ending.
Um, we can go into standout moments or non-spoiler standout moments or highlights of the book if you want. Um,
Okay.
for for me, it was the quiet.
Yep.
The quiet.
Brethren.
I mean, yeah, yeah. The figuring out, not even figuring out what the quiet is or anything like that, because what is the quiet? You
But
couldn't answer it, I could, but like our brethren, um, and I don't want to because I'm trying not to spoil it, obviously, but
yeah.
like, what is the Howling Dark? I should say.
Right.
Or finding out what the Howling Dark is was a big
Yeah.
highlight for me, and it made it the way this book ended made me unlike other books because again it wasn't a cliffhanger and it didn't leave you with like just as a cliffhanger does, but it really makes you curious
About
about the
what's
now
ahead.
yeah, what's ahead, because what does this mean now,
Right.
because this changes for me. It changed what I thought the book was, because again I didn't know, but like
Right.
okay, what is this, what like
Right.
what is this now, like
Yeah.
now I'm really intrigued and interested. So figuring that out, and I guess was the highlight for me.
Isn't it funny how we read a book and we don't know what the title means until we know what it means? Like
I
you,
love it though. I
I do
really
too.
love it. It makes
Because
me
it's
so
like,
happy.
yeah,
Like
I didn't even
it's
think
like
about Howling Dark. I'm like, then I'm reading the part and I'm like, oh shit, the
that makes
Howling
sense.
Dark. That's why he named
Yeah,
it that.
that's a good name. Like I'm trying to think even like just real quick Morning Star, and it's like It's the name
Right.
of the shit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
I like that.
Right.
That's cool. I love
Um,
when they do the call out of the title
yeah, I
because
do too.
it's like nice.
When you find
Just
out
a
what
good
it is, it's dope.
nice.
Yeah. Highlight moments, man. Really just, really just that whole, not just the ending. Like I don't want to keep saying the ending, but the last
Right.
200 pages. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like the whole lead up to the ending was
Vorgossos. I mean, or even
Vorgossos. It was
half.
really just once the Cielcin came aboard. Um, and that's not really
Yeah.
spoiling anything because we know he's trying to make peace with that entire book.
Right.
So once he basically comes into contact with the other Cielcin,
And shit
from
hits the
there
fan.
on, and she
Yep.
has the fan for like
It's
200 pages. It's like,
yep.
oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. So that was
I
definitely
love
a highlight
I
because
love
other
that.
than that, there was a lot of, like I said, there really
That
weren't,
nice even,
yeah,
no
even at
high
the best.
peaks. I mean,
I,
again, we lost a friend, and that was kind of crazy. Just that scene itself was crazy. And then when he first gets to Vergossos and he's trapped there for a little while, and finding out like he gets betrayed, that's kind of crazy.
yep, I got him.
Um, yeah. So, um, I guess that would be another kind of standout part for me. Just like it's like, damn, my boy.
Yeah, yep. Another highlight moment for me was
Severo would never.
Sever will never, which could never be Sever. Like, stop, man.
Can
Ever
never
in
be
his life.
severed.
Not even close. Um,
That's
Another,
funny.
and we can kind of, if you want, we can kind of get into a little bit of spoilers. Not too
Okay.
much, but there was definitely. So if you're
Well,
watching this,
why? Yep. Spoiler
yeah, a few
alert.
spoilers for the next 2-3 minutes, and we'll be done.
So skip through it.
Yep. I got Switch. I loved when, um, so the book starts off with him with Janan, and I'm like,
Yep.
yes, got him a
Yeah.
girl.
Got him a girl.
They end up crucial, where it's like, oh
Yep.
shit, like damn, that ended kind of fucking
It
brutal.
ended bad.
Ended bad, and then
That
when
was
he
a turn
finally
scene.
got, yeah, hell yeah,
I
when he
forgot.
finally
I
cut
really
Bassander's
forgot
hand
about that.
off,
Like, I got to fight, and it's like,
because
niggas.
Bassander's a punk, and I loved when Bassander bowed down at the end and was
Yep.
like, I don't know what it is, but I saw you come back from the dead, dog, and got on his knees in front of his whole body, and was
Yep.
just like, that was
You
dope.
you got it.
You got it. And a standout moment for me, the spoiler was just him and Valkyrie getting together. You know how much
Oh,
I care
I
about that
love
shit.
that. I love that.
Like
I love that. I wanted it the whole time.
the entire
Get
time.
with your
So
girl, bro.
yeah, like
Get with your
golly,
girl.
Hadrian. Then being locked up for 4 months or months in that thing with just them two and nothing happens. It's
Pissing
like,
me off.
dude, y'all,
What
what the
what are
like?
you doing, bro? And
Like,
that's one of my gripes with Hadrian. It's just like, dog. But I guess that's Hadrian, and I just got to get used to that, and that's
like you
just what
said,
it
way
is.
too reserved.
Way too reserved, and whatever. That's Hadrian Marlowe, the
Yep,
legend.
yep, the
All
reserve
right.
legend.
Any other spoilers before we cut back?
Nah.
Okay, we're back. Thank you. I mean, that wasn't even 3 minutes. It was probably like a minute and a half. We'll try to put that in the YouTube, like,
Yeah.
y'all know, in the description or
Hmm.
something. All right. Let's see. We're gonna ask this question again. We asked it about the first book. I mean, we asked about everything, but since this is like the same series, we're gonna not pick the same thing we picked last time. So if you could steal one thing from this book, what would it be? And before you say it, I'm gonna go ahead and steal one of a comment that one of our TikTok followers said, and it was Valka's implant. And I'm like, dog, why didn't I think of that?
That's
I'm
a
talking
fact.
about a spaceship I'll never be able to
Yeah,
fly.
I saw that and I was like, ooh, that's good.
That's a good one. I have every book in my head.
Yeah, that's a
Everything,
great
anything and
one.
everything.
When they was locked up, he was
To be
like,
fair,
huh,
that's
must be
probably
nice.
really close to real life with
Yeah,
the
AI and
Neuralink.
chip and
I mean,
yeah,
the Neuralink
yeah.
thing. But yeah, Valka's chip.
Another thing I would take from this world, uh, Karn Sagara was 15,000 years old. So
Yeah, that's an old guy, man. He just
that
survives and
the
just
way
can survive.
the stuff that he was doing without like ruining anything, For him basically being able to be is a sick thing and
Yep.
crazy and everything. But like,
I mean, if you're trying to be an immortal,
if you're trying to be immortal, which I don't know if I am, but I'm just saying that
not unless
science.
I'm a vampire.
You're right, you're right. Or if you're Carmen Cigar, because his shit was laid out. But
This shit was player.
yeah, so mine would probably just be that more of just what Karn had going on.
Okay. I like it. Now, you get to ask Christopher some more questions. What would you ask them? Ask him.
Um, what would
Well,
so
okay, go ahead.
Hadrian Marlowe, um, what does he expect us as readers to get from Hadrian Marlowe's arc? Because it's not only is he like the main character, but he's more of a main character than other main characters are in the books. This is his memoir
Yeah.
that we're reading.
Basically,
And
like if he was real, this is an autobiography or whatever,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. Exactly. So what is what is he trying to get us to get out of Hadrian for? Because there's a lot of stuff in this book that really like the themes that are really really dope and just about as far as like, Hadrian don't want to fuck around with none of that like implants at all. He
Nope.
don't want to do none of that. He's terrified of that. He don't want, when Karn had to replace his shit, he's like, hope you don't use
Yeah.
none of that bullshit because you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Because I'm
saying.
not with that.
I'm not with none of that.
I look down on people like that, which is crazy because of Valka, but whatever.
And it's even crazy. Like even there's situations where he was in the room with the homunculus or whatever, like the robot,
The
like
homunculus, yeah.
homunculus. Yeah, just how he acts. Like it's Hadrian's a weird character, man. Because he makes, he's just a weird character, and I just would like to know what. Usually, when an author's writing, especially about a main character, they want the audience to grasp something about this character. So mine would just be,
What is it?
what was you trying to portray with Hadrian?
That's
Because
a
I
good
get both
question.
sides. I get both sides. You know what I mean? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's to be a complicated person, kind of how I guess we all are. But
We all are. Yep.
that'd be my question.
Okay. I think I'm going to ask questions about the novellas because we mentioned it a little bit
Yeah.
prior to the episode. But um, for me, I'm curious about, I guess, curious and not curious because I still haven't read the novella. But I guess what was his reason to write the novella, all of the novellas that he's had, and how come we never just hear about the family anymore? I don't know. Because
That's a good about Crispin and the dads and
yeah, and
everything.
I
Yeah.
guess I mean I was about to say like I guess originally it's like why'd you write that novella, but it's for people like me, I suppose, who
Right.
are curious about it, and it's just like if you really want to know, read it.
Yeah.
Is what he would tell me, I guess. But that's not really why I want to know. It's more so I want to see reactions of Hadrian or the interactions of Hadrian and his family, not just his family, because I don't
Right.
care about just his family. I care about Hadrian
And
and
his
his
family.
family. Like,
Right.
hey, like, what about like in an alternate universe where he writes a book and Hadrian goes back home after being like the man? It's just like, now what,
Yeah.
Dad?
Hadrian says at the end, Hadrian gets a award per se, and he's like,
Yeah,
wonder what Dad's thinking. Like,
exactly. Let's find out. Let's
yeah,
show
but
up real
I also
quick.
kind of get because they're like light year. It's like
I get
hundreds
it,
of
but it's
years
like
though. Then
they
would
travel
they be
all the
alive
time
too?
anyway.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it would be dope. I would definitely want to know more about, not know more about, but I wish Crispin got more involved. I
Me
wish
too.
Chris.
Because I want them to be cool.
I want
That'd
them
be
to be
cool. That'd
cool.
be cool if he had a brother.
Yeah, the
His brother.
first 100 pages of the first book, how they was acting, I'm like, okay, like I hope they're cool. I hope they're guys. And then
Yeah.
like I
We
haven't
like
heard
because we
nothing
like
about
guys being guys. We
them.
like
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah,
Um, however, I think that play like because I guess not even spoiler, but this book starts to it takes a dark turn, or not this book, but future books take a dark turn, and it's just like that's just like Hadrian already has to worry about other people he cares about, and it's just like you
yeah,
add your own blood brother into the mix, and
yeah,
it gets like now I got to really put my life on the line to protect my
yeah.
brother now.
Right.
So I mean, I guess I get it, but also I'm just a little curious, and maybe I really just need to add the novella to my TBR, and not because I know it's going to further this specific story, but like because I'm curious a little bit now,
Right. Yeah.
and it's just hard because I don't care about the dad, I don't care about the brother really, and
Well, that's
the
only
mom.
the first novella too.
I
Like
know, and
this. Yeah.
that's the main one I guess I'm talking about though,
Right.
because I can't even like for me the stuff that's untold, it's the family stuff
Right.
because everything else I can imagine myself like even
Yeah.
the light years where they're skipping throughout time. It's just like he's with his crew
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever,
Chilling
which
with
is
his
cool
crew.
too.
Yeah.
um, the next thing is like if we were satisfied with the ending, and for I already said it, I was very
Hmm.
satisfied with the ending because of I was just been waiting for something to happen,
Yeah.
and this ending gives you the something, or at least for me, it gave me the something I was looking for, um, to make me keep reading.
Yeah. I was also satisfied, man. This was a great wrap up because this first and second book could almost been one book,
Could have
and
for
it was
sure.
a great wrap up to like that whole 1,000 page
Yeah, it's an
story.
arc. It's an arc,
It was
and
an arc
we closed that arc up.
with a perfect of okay, now what we have. So it was a very good ending. I was definitely satisfied with it. Um, and shit hit the fan.
Shit hit the fan.
Shit hit the
And
fan. Shit got deep, and
I love when shit hits the fan, y'all.
me too. That's
Like
my
when shit
favorite
hits the
thing ever.
fan, guys,
Yeah,
that's what I love. I love
yeah,
when it's just action and just like turn and
yeah,
shit's hitting the fan. It has me on the edge of my seat. And it's,
yeah,
as I'm reading and
yeah,
being able to do that in a book is awesome.
yep.
Like
I
an
agree.
author being able to have the readers at the edge of their seat like they're at a movie theater is awesome.
Them are the
So
moments you read for. Them
those are the
moments
moments you read for.
that
And
you'll read a big book just for those moments because you're like,
yes, I
oh,
love those moments. I love
yep,
those
me too.
moments, and you finally get one in this out of the because there's not real. You get a tiny one in the first book, but it's over
Nowhere
so
near as much.
fast.
Yeah,
So you finally get a good moment, like let's
yep.
go turn moment in this book that where it has you on that edge of your seat, and I'm so happy. So I was very satisfied with the ending. I am gonna like and allowed me to keep reading. So I have kept reading, and I'm really locked in now. I hope you feel the same when when you
Yeah.
get into the third one for sure. Um, let me see. Would you recommend this book?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you think that this book is or if you like, it's kind of the same thing for the first one. I mean, the same thing we would recommend to them. It's just sci-fi,
Yep,
space opera,
sci-fi. Yep, you
stuff
like
like that.
Dune.
It's
You
Dune,
you know the same stuff.
all the same type of things. Not much has changed. Or even if you like memoir books. Um,
Yeah,
so there's really not much to get into there. It's just the second book of a series of the
second book of
same
a series.
of just of the longer story.
Yeah. It's war. There's a lot of it starts to get into some
There's way more
diplomacy.
action war. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, diplomacy. There's like you said, there's a lot of complexities in this book.
yeah,
So just I guess be prepared for that. There's probably a lot of things that us as readers miss
yeah.
and just don't understand. And I take that. I got to take that when I'm writing this book or reading this book. It's just like certain media or forms of art you can't just read once and fully understand
I agree.
fully understand it. And I mentioned it before, but this is one of those things because it's a memoir, and when you read the next book and the book after that, you start to understand other stuff that happened in the
Beforehand.
earlier stuff
Yeah,
because there's a lot of things that Hadrian at the time he just doesn't understand because it just doesn't make sense. It's
right.
like it's new stuff, and us as readers we don't understand and it doesn't make sense. But as you start to understand and things start to make sense, it starts to like, wow, okay, that was a lot
Mhm.
better than I originally thought.
Right.
Um, let me see. I'll go into the rating, like the what's it called rating?
Goodreads.
Yep, the Goodreads rating, which it was up, but now it disappeared. So I gotta find that real quick. So I guess real quick, what was your rating while I'm finding that?
Um, so I believe I gave the first one a 3.75. This one was just a tad bit better. Because like I said, the first 75% of the book was more of just the first one. So I gave this a strong 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Which is still a good book, man. Still a great, a really good book.
So I found the Goodreads. They give it a
Okay.
4.4. I don't
Mm,
remember what they gave the first one. I know it wasn't high. I think it might have been a four, maybe a 4.1 or
somewhere around the
something like
four,
that.
yeah,
Um, and I think I'm right there with them with
a
this book as
4.4.
well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm right there with them, a 4.4, 4.3, somewhere right around there because of again, I enjoyed all of the first book. It was just a slower burn and not too
Yeah,
exciting, but this was that same stuff but better.
but way better.
Especially because it's
Uh,
like you didn't have to like Hadrian's kind of past the down and out, like how he wasn't as crushed in the first
no,
book in this book as he was in the first book. So I
mm-mm.
already enjoyed that way more. And then you get a pretty satisfying turn ending. Um, yeah, so I'm right there with Goodreads.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that.
Okay. Let's see. Before we wrap this up, Howling Dark, any final thoughts?
Demon and White better be the one because
I will
Howling
say
Dark was good, and I don't
Demon
regret
White
reading.
is way better than this book.
And that's kind of what
And
I'm
so
expecting.
and so is
So
Kingdom of Death. Both of them are way better than both the first two.
yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't know if that's good or bad. Um,
That's not I mean, is the third book in Red Rising way better than the first book?
way
It's
better.
literally way better.
Yeah. I'm just saying I'm going into this book
With high
damn
expectations.
near 5 out of 5.
Yep. I get that.
So like
Yeah. So
so
so Chris and readers, viewers, Christopher, high expectations going into
Demon and White.
yeah, thank you, Demon and White, the third book in the
Definitely.
series. Um, anything else?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right. How that's Howling Dark. That's episode 4. This is where we leave you. And if you made it this far, we appreciate you and we hope that you
Facts.
continue to watch. Did you, after reading the first or listening to the watching the first episode, did you start Sun Eater series after watching this episode? Do you plan on starting the Sun Eater series? If you have already started it, where are you at in the series? Have you caught up? Did you stop reading it at a certain point because of the slowness of it, or did you keep it up?
Hmm.
Um, as always, we take book recommendations, so please give us your book recommendations. We'd love to add it to the TBR.
Right.
At this point, we're 4 episodes in, so you kind of know what type of books we like to read for the most part. So hopefully, when you're recommending the books, they're in that same lane. But if not, we'll still take a look at it, and if it's a good book, we'll trust the
Yeah.
audience for a little bit until you prove
Yeah.
us wrong.
Facts.
Um, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know when we post the next episode. But with that, we're out.
Well, peace. Boom. Episode 4 in the books.